Good evening. I'm Vivian Fisher, Deputy Chief of Public Services at the Inner Pratt Free Library. Welcome to this special edition of the Brown Lecture Series featuring Ambassador Carol Moseley Braun with moderator Dr. Frances Murphy Draper. I want to take a moment to thank all of our private donors who make events like this possible, and to you, the public, for making our programs a huge success. And most importantly, the author engagement team who brings us these stellar authors to the Pratt Library. So thank you. Without you, we would not be able to offer free, innovative programming at all of the Pratt's 22 locations. So make sure to check out our bi-monthly magazine, The Compass, or sign up for our email newsletters to make sure you don't miss a thing at the Pratt. Now for tonight's big event. Ambassador Carol Moseley Braun is an American diplomat, politician, and lawyer. She served as the first African-American woman and member of the Democratic Party in the U.S. Senate from 1993 to 1999. She was the first female senator from Illinois, and she holds a Bachelor of Arts degree from the University of Illinois and a Juris Doctorate from the University of Chicago. Following law school, one of her earliest positions was as an Assistant United States Attorney, where she garnered the Attorney General's Special Achievement Award. She served as ambassador to New Zealand and Samoa from 1999 to 2001 under President Bill Clinton. In 2023, President Biden nominated Moseley Braun to be a member and chair of the Board of Directors of the United States African Development Foundation. Moseley Braun is a frequent guest as a political analyst on the PBS Global Affairs show with Christine Amanpour, and has been featured in numerous broadcasts, radio podcasts, and profiles. She appeared in the television series Disable to Obama, Chicago's Black Metropolis, which aired on WTTV. Tonight, she is in conversation with Dr. Frances Murphy Draper. Since February 2018, Dr. Draper has served as the fourth-generation publisher of the African-American newspaper, better known as the Afro News, the nation's longest-running family-owned Black newspaper. Dr. Draper was elected first vice chair of the National Newspaper Publishers Association in 2023 and serves as board chair of World in Black, a digital public benefit corporation and news collaborative founded by 10 of the nation's most influential Black newspaper publishers. Her published works include No Ordinary Hookup, The Courtship of Vashti Turley and Carl Murphy, Life Happens, But You Can Finish, co-authored with Dr. Pamela Love, and her latest book, Prayer and Pen, The Prayers and Legacy of Carl Murphy, publisher of the Afro-American newspaper, 1922 to 1967, released in January 2025. And we will have her as one of our guest authors this fall, so please stay tuned. Please join me in welcoming Ambassador Carol Moseley Braun and Dr. Frances Murphy Draper to the Pratt Library.
Whoa, look at this room. Thank you all for coming. I want to thank Ms. Fisher for that lovely introduction, and thank all of you for coming. Thank you for being here. You fill my heart. It's wonderful. And Donna Owens, she's the real genius behind this book. It's a wonderful book, but it's because of Donna. And just so you know, she We talked twice a week, on Mondays and on Thursdays, for hours. We almost couldn't stop talking. And it was delightful working with her. It's 3-year process? 3 years. Yeah, so thank you all very much for coming and observing both Donna and my work. It's my story, it's her work. But yeah, we're very grateful to all of you for your support. And I want to thank also the Pratt Library and the officials who made it possible for us to visit here today. And Dr. Murphy? No, I'm still doing thank yous. And to Dr. Draper, who took time from her busy schedule to be here with us tonight. I'm grateful. And Donna, would you introduce your parents and send you welcome with?
Owen's a proud American veteran, one of 30-plus veterans that we have in our family. Proud, patriotic Americans. And this is my lovely mother, Bernadette Owens. This is my family here, and I want to thank everyone at the Pratt, as well as Dr. Draper and extraordinary Ambassador Carol Moseley Braun.
Thank you, Donna. Well, I'm going to take a seat and answer questions, but before I do, I want to, again, thank all of you for taking time out of your schedule to come and join us tonight. It's very heartening to me to have this book now and have the book attracts all of you. Thank you for being here. And I'm happy to entertain your question. Dr. Draper may have some first, so we'll ask her questions first and then yours. Kevin, did I introduce you? Oh, I will. Story. I'm kind of limping around. I was one of the last things that Joe Biden did for me. He appointed me chairman of something called the USADF, the United States Africa Development Foundation. And I was in Mauritania, which is a tiny French-speaking country on the west coast of Africa. And coming off the airplane, I slipped and fell. I thought, my arrogance, I thought, I was a cheerleader in high school, I can handle this. Well, I couldn't. By the time I got home, my leg was this big, and it turned out I smashed my patella. So I'm still on a cane. Everybody said, ooh, I didn't know what a patella was until last month, okay, just so you know. So, but yeah, so that's why I'm crippled now, is the fall of Mauritania. The capital of Mauritania, by the way, is Nouakchott. Just so you know. There's nothing with that information that's going to matter to anybody, I think. But anyway, so thank you very much for being here.
So I think it may be okay to ask a question now. Is that okay? Good evening, everyone. We're so glad to see you this evening. For a lady who needs no introduction, we're here to talk about her new book, Trailblazer, and indeed she is a trailblazer. So Ambassador, you open the book after you do your dedication to your grandmother with a scripture. And you open it with Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him and he shall direct your paths. So this is not just a verse that you have, it's a spiritual declaration. Why did you choose to begin your memoir with scripture, or with that scripture? And can you tell us a little bit about how trusting in God guided you through both the triumphs and trials of your extraordinary journey?
Well, thank you for that question. I consider myself to be a person of faith. But having said that, that particular scripture has particular meaning to me because I've come through such bizarre circumstances. I mean, I've had a lot of bizarre stuff happen to me. If it were not for God, I would have been in trouble. So, but as it turns out, he's protected me every step of the way, and I've done the best I can to follow in the path that he would like me to. And I think so far it's been okay. Donna, I think so far it's worked out. To God be the glory, that's right.
Amen. We also have questions from the audience, so I have some questions, and thanks to those of you who submitted your questions. This is a question from someone in the audience. They said, if you were mentoring a young black woman entering public service today, what 3 pieces of advice would you give her to help her lead with integrity and impact?
I would tell her in the first place to believe in yourself. You know, you have to believe in yourself and know what your dreams are and then pursue them. And then don't give up. That's the second thing, is don't give up. Perseverance is the second message. Because life can be very difficult. Life can be horrible sometimes. People will come at you for no good reason. But if you believe in yourself and you don't give up, you'll be fine. So that would be the second piece of advice. And third piece of advice would be don't take other people's advice.
And she dropped the mic, okay. I think a lot of people would want to know, how did you do this? You raised your son while navigating.
Who is magnificent, who has I have 2 twin grandbabies. They made 7 last week. And it's a boy and a girl, and they are the love of my life.
And you talk about them and your son throughout this book, this wonderful book. And so you did this while you were navigating the Senate. So how did motherhood shape your leadership, and what did that journey teach you about balance, about sacrifice?
Balance is a hard one to learn. Believe it or not, I know you believe it, but the point is, you have to find a balance between your professional obligations and your responsibility to do the job and your family. You can't ever forget family and leave them be. In my case, my family is very close. Everybody in it likes everybody else. So we had a difficult road to hoe, but we stuck together, and we're doing fine. I mean, I had a brother who died of a drug overdose. If it's any consolation, I mean, not consolation, you know what I'm saying. But, in fact, as you go through the book, there's a picture of me and my mother and father sitting at one of my dad's pianos. And the little boy, the baby in that picture, is the brother who died. The point is that this life will beat up on some people, and they can't take it. But if you have to find the strength, whether you find it in scripture or whatever, a friend in the neighborhood or whatever, but you got to find the strength to hang in there and to carry on and just do the best job you can. That's one of my mother's lines. Do the best job you can where you're planted, whatever that may be. And you don't necessarily know what that will be or what the responsibility will call on you to do. But if you live up to the responsibility and just try to do your best at whatever it is, it may not always be adequate, but just do your best, do the best you can do. That's what matters.
And that's so true. When you all read the book, if you haven't read it already, you'll notice how open and honest and transparent Ambassador is. I don't think there are any topics, Donna Owens, that she didn't touch. So we're going to ask this because the book goes into greater detail. You write about your marriage,
Yeah.
and significant relationships, including some that drew public scrutiny. So how did those experiences shape you, and is there one love story that taught you the most about yourself? It's in the book.
Well, you know, I've been kind of on my own for many years, and my mother and father both had me. They emancipated me early. I mean, I was taking care of the other kids when I was 14, you know. So, but the point is that my ex-husband was very kind. I was talking with Kevin about this in the car. My ex-husband was very kind to me. Even though we had a controversial marriage at the time, we had an interracial marriage, which was problematic, as you can imagine, in Chicago. But when I got ready to run, when one of the pundits said, "Don't run, you can't possibly win. The blacks won't vote for you because you're not part of the Chicago machine. The whites won't vote for you because you're black. And nobody's going to vote for you because you're a woman." So when he said that, obviously I needed to have the resources to run a campaign, and I went to my ex-husband, now ex-husband, and said, "I need money to run for office." He gave me $10,000. I thought I was going to fall on the floor, but yeah, that's what launched my political career, and I wouldn't have had any of it had he not stepped forward to help me.
So here's another question from the audience. What or who is your biggest inspiration?
That's a good question, because once you get out of the biblical sphere and you give up on citing the good Lord has taken care of me, because my life has been so full of serendipity, and I'm very, to this minute, very grateful for the love and the support I've had for no reason, not like I earned it or anything like that. It just happened, and I'm very grateful for that. And I don't know if this is responsible. What was the last part of your question?
What or who was your greatest inspiration?
My greatest inspiration, my mother. My mother was not political at all. In fact, she used to joke about firesides and slippers. And so I was frankly, that's the course I thought I was going to wind up taking. But she was very solid. She was very ethical. She believed in herself. She believed in her kids. She tried to make a difference for good, and she believed in helping other people. So having said that, that was a real inspiration for me, all of that. And so I'm grateful to her. She's gone on now to glory, but I'm very grateful to her for all of her sacrifices for me and for the other children.
Okay, so I'm glad you mentioned your mother, because in the book you speak very openly and candidly about the Medicaid flap and how it became national news and how it was misunderstood, especially the toll that it took on your family. And so behind the headlines was a daughter, you, just looking out for your mother.
Right.
Looking back, what is it that you would want people to really understand about that moment? And how did you find the strength? I mean, most of us, you start talking about our mamas, y'all know those are fighting words, right? How were you able to keep serving publicly while navigating all of that personal pain?
It was difficult, you're right, and it was personal pain, but the fact of the matter is, again, back to my mother, she used to say, do the best job you can where you're planted. And so whether I was planted or not, the fact is, I knew I had a job to do, and I just focused in on that. And my attitude was, I tell the truth. What's that line? Tell the truth and shame the devil. I just tell the truth about my truth and what was going on, and that's what I did, and we came through it.
And you came through it well.
Thank
Come on,
you.
that deserves a round of applause. So I can't wait until you all read this book. Listen, in the book she talks about the ambassadorship, and she calls it Ambassador to Paradise, when
Which is
she was
true.
named ambassador to New Zealand and to Samoa. And how did that experience in paradise really differ from your time in the Senate?
In 25 words or less, being ambassador, everybody's nice to you. In the Senate, everybody wants to kick you and cut you down. But I went from being an object of just somebody that everybody took pleasure in beating up on, and then I went to New Zealand, and everybody was nice to me. And the place is beautiful. Okay, the place is beautiful. The people were really nice. I was under the second female prime minister. They had a succession of women prime ministers, and so all the sexism I run into, even the racism was different. I mean, the Maori people in New Zealand are brown not as brown as me, but they're the kind of brown-skinned people, but they were fully integrated into the society. So it was like everything I had fought and worked for was right there in New Zealand, in addition to the most magnificent natural environment. I mean, the trees and the birds and all of that stuff. It was just wonderful. And so I thought, I've arrived in paradise.
And it sounds like we're all ready to go to Paris.
Yeah.
Here's another question. This person is asking, what made you get into politics? And they have an and you can decide whether you want to answer the and, of course. What do you think of the current administration? I didn't make these up, y'all. This is something.
I'll answer the first part of that question. You don't want to hear my answer to the second part. What made me, I had no idea I was going to be in politics at all. When I left the U.S. Attorney's Office, I was focused on being a lawyer and a trial lawyer at that, and I took off to have my son, Matt. So I happened to push Matt down the street in a stroller one day, and right up the street from us is Jackson Park, still is there. So I go up to the park, and there were a bunch of people protesting. And they were marching around with signs, Park District no, bobolinks yes. It's like, what? So I went over, I started talking to them, and it turned out they were protesting to save the habitat of the bobolinks, who are these little tiny rice birds from South Carolina. They're not supposed to be in Chicago at all. But they were there anyway, and the Park District was about to tear down the trees in which they had nested and get rid of them. And so I joined the protest. After I joined the protest to save the bobolinks, I thought that was kind of it, and I had no idea that was going to put me on a path to political life. And it turned out that one of the neighborhood pundits came up to me after that, because people started saying, she'd be good for state representative, as our state representative had retired, and there were people whispering. And so this one pundit came up to me and said, don't run, you can't possibly win. The blacks won't vote for you because you're not part of the Chicago machine. The whites won't vote for you because you're black. And nobody's going to vote for you because you're a woman. It was like, where did I sign up for this job? What? So that way, it was kind of on a dare. That was what propelled me into it. And I decided at that point that I was just going to go for it, even though we had an incumbent who had been reelected 6 times, I think, at that point. An incumbent senator who was not a bad guy, just kind of different than me, obviously, on the issues. But I decided then I was going to run. And it turned out it was not just him, Alan Dixon, who was the incumbent, but also another lawyer who had a gazillion dollars by the name of Al Hofeld. There were 3 of us. And so as things work out, the math worked out that they beat up on each other, and I just kind of slipped in.
And it worked. What pearls of wisdom, this audience member wants to know, would you share with your younger self to help young girls pursue their dreams and their gifts?
Don't be arrogant. Yeah, no. That's what I would tell me at 25. Don't be arrogant. Not that I was trying to be arrogant, but I think I was very full of myself. Young people, right? You're full of yourself, and I was. I was like, wait a minute, I can change the world. I just have to wish it to be so. It's not. It doesn't work that way. And so that would be the piece of advice I would give. And frankly, I'm still working on it. Mm-hmm. No, I am. You have to humble yourself. You have to be humble and understand that the world does not revolve around you, or even your thinking and what your decisions are. So that was what I would tell them.
And that's the lesson, as you said, that we continue to learn, don't we, our entire lives. And since your Senate tenure, you're the first African-American woman to serve in the Senate, the first woman from the state of Illinois. And so, I mean, that's worth another applause. And today we have Senator Also Brooks
Here?
and Senator Blunt Rochester in the Senate. No, I don't think that she's here.
There's no doubt at work. I am so glad. You know, one of the things that used to nag at me was the idea you may be the first, but you don't want to be the last. And I am so grateful because you've got two coming after me, Angela Also Brooks and Lisa Blunt Rochester. And I am so grateful to them.
So are you hopeful about the state of democracy and representation today? And then the flip side, what gives you pause?
I am hopeful. What gives me pause is that we're in one of those great technological changes. Right now, things are changing. I mean, the kids talk about TikTok and the computers. My son, by the way, is a computer engineer. He does computer security. He tells me I'm a technidiot. Because I have no facility at all with all this new technology. I just don't. I mean, I'm trying, but I really do. It's like over me, technidiot. So I say that in terms of our democracy. I think it's going to be fine. You know, everything in life is a cycle, right? And so we are in one of these bad periods. But I think if the people just recommit themselves to protecting our democracy, it'll be protected and we will be able to go forward and hand the next generation something better than we inherited. And that, after all, is every generation's challenge, to leave it a little better than you found it. And that's what I think we have to do. I tell people all the time when they get depressed about what's going on right now, I said, look at it this way. Our ancestors had to go through a period, not only did they not get 40 acres and a mule, I said, but they also had to be wary and afraid of being lynched just for being, you know, and we got past that. We came through Reconstruction and survived that. After Reconstruction came the Depression, and we survived that. So we can survive if we just recommit ourselves to the values that got us this far. And if we continue just to keep striving and trying to make it better, caring for one another. I mean, that's where it starts. Caring about that you can make a difference in this world. You can make things better. And if you believe that, you will. And so that's what I would tell the next generation.
All right, thank you so much. And you were talking about remembering where we came from, and you were talking about also sticking to your convictions. I remember reading in the book one defining moment was your stand against the Confederate insignia patent. Can you take us behind the scenes of that? That was a pretty bold decision at the time, and what that meant to you personally.
It wasn't
and politically.
bold. It was the natural. What else was I supposed to do? I'm the only black person in the United States Senate. I mean, if I was going to sit there and let the Confederate flag get a patent renewed, then I didn't deserve to be there. So, but I got to tell you a little story, a side note on that. I had lobbied on the issue in the committee. You do things like this. Well, I was the first woman in history on the Senate Finance Committee. And so, because I was on the Finance Committee, when the patent renewal came up, I was able to go and talk to my colleagues and say, you don't want to vote for this. And most of them agreed with me. Not all, though. And I frankly had Joe Biden's help in pushing back on that. Anyway, so I thought I had killed it in committee, and it turned out that one of my staffers came up we were in a committee hearing, on a matter of, and the issue was choice. I was really crazed. In fact, I looked up and said, what did I do to deserve this day? So anyway, Orrin Hatch made the point that abortion was like slavery. And I was horrified. And so And so once I got past that, my staffer came in with a note saying, Jesse Helms is taken to the Senate floor with a Confederate flag. I was like, God, what did I do? So I went over to the Capitol and wrangled with Senator Helms over that. I lost the vote first time. And then Hal Heflin, who was a senator from Alabama, stood up and said, my grandfather was a general in the Confederate Army. It's time for us to move past this. And so you should support her in this. And I'm ever grateful to Hal Heflin for that. You should support this vote because we have to, as a nation, come together and move forward instead of having this same old argument that we've been having for 150 years at that point. And so I'm grateful to Senator Heflin. His words in that moment turned votes around, and I was able to get a majority vote and win the vote and kill the patent renewal for the Confederate flag because of him. And people who couldn't hear me could hear it coming from him. And so I was grateful for that. And it made a big difference because I was able to win the argument, win the war, and we went forward, and it didn't get renewed.
So there were many instances when you were successful in working across the aisle, as they say. What advice would you have to legislators today with all that's going on? What qualities, what really helps to get things done?
The people are neither R nor D. They have everyday concerns about living. They want to make a living, they want to take care of their kids, their families, and so it doesn't make sense just to lock yourself in on one side of the aisle or the other, in my opinion. And you have to work bipartisanly. That this democracy would not survive if we didn't. And so I just hope that people are mindful that being bipartisan is not a matter of selling out to the other side. And it ain't personal, it's not about you. It's about making the process work. And the process can only work if people come together to make it work. And I just hope that people keep that in mind as they discuss the future of our democracy.
So I think, along those lines, over and over again, whenever someone, even before you got to the Senate, would talk to you about a position that they didn't agree with, over and over again, you would say, but I'm doing it for the people of Illinois. I'm doing it for the people of Illinois.
Right.
I'm doing the job. What are you most proud of, even before you got to the Senate? Let's talk about your time in Illinois.
I survived 10 years in the Illinois legislature. I sued my own party. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Tell us about it.
The party had developed a set of maps for reapportionment. As you know, every 10 years you have to reapportion congressional districts and legislative ones as well. So when they came out with the maps in 1980, it's funny, I was walking down the street and some friends that I knew, fellas with dreadlocks and fatigues on, said, this map is terrible. What are you going to do about it? I said, what am I supposed to do? I'm one person, So the guy said, well, yeah, but can't you sue? I said, I'm not by myself. I said, I'm not affiliated with any firm. I can't do this just me. And so he challenged me, and I decided that I would reach out to other lawyers who did have access to the courts. And so along with my state senator, Richard Newhouse, and so Dick and I proceeded to go out and try to beat the bushes to raise the money to support the litigation, and then we filed a lawsuit and against the maps. And that turned out, as it turned out, it wound up being successful. I could not have been, there's all gratitude to good Lord for looking out for you. I'd gotten out there and people said, you're going to ruin your political career. It's like, okay, well, yeah, but I'm doing the right thing. So, but as it turned out, I not only did ruin my political career. But I won the case. Winning the case then put me on a track to go to the United States Senate, which nobody at that point had anticipated. And you can imagine, here I am, a little colored girl from the south side of Chicago, up against the forces of the Democratic Party nationally. But it was the right thing to do, and that was my attitude. If you're guided by the Spirit, and you try to do the right thing, back to that first quote, you try to do the right thing, you cannot go wrong. You'll come out right, and that was what inspired me to just keep pushing and pushing forward, and to try, lawsuit notwithstanding. We won, it was a 3-judge district court, and we won the lawsuit, and when that happened, it was like hyperspace.
Doing the right thing, you can never go wrong.
Right.
Doing the right thing. Let's talk a little bit about your re-election campaign. There were some folks there that weren't doing the right things. And I'm not talking about you now. I'm just talking about in the campaign. How did you rebound from that?
From losing the election? Mm-hmm. It was hard. I felt rejected. I was absolutely wiped out because that had been a really difficult campaign. Campaigning statewide is hard anyway, and Illinois is a big state. And so going from community to community, talking to people, trying to get them to support you in the face of the kind of opposition I'd encountered over 6 years. I'd had the media beating up on me for 6 years. I had gotten a resolution in the Illinois General Assembly calling me the conscience of the House. So I went from being the conscience of the House to being some kind of Jezebel. Almost overnight. It's like, why are you all doing this to me? But I couldn't complain about it. What I had to do, what my attitude was, all I can do is my job. So I just focused in on being the best senator I knew how to be and focusing on legislation. And I passed, Donna, you can tell them, I passed a lot of bills, I passed a lot of bills, and consequential ones that made a difference. So I was very proud of that. And so I did not, even though I lost the election, and that part was painful, I didn't have any regrets. I had no regrets.
I think I read in the foreword or somewhere near the beginning of the book, you said, look, this is it. This is my memoir. This is my tell-all. But usually we don't tell all. Is there a sequel to this? Is there something that...
Donna, is there a sequel? Maybe a movie, right?
Okay, so when the movie is made, we're going to speak that as, we're going to speak it. When the movie is made, what part of this book would you like to see amplified? And is there something that's not here now? You say, you know what? I should have told that story.
There's several, by the way.
Okay, good.
No, I won't go into the, but put the stories over here. Is there anything I would like to have amplified? What I want to have, my message out of all of this, is that if you do the job you're elected to do, and just focus in on that. Don't focus on trying to be a movie star. Don't focus on trying to be a celebrity. It's not about any of that. It's about the people's business. And if you dedicate yourself to that, you can't go wrong, I think. And that was what I tried to focus in on. I put my nose to the grindstone. I put my efforts behind being the best legislator I knew how to be.
So here we are in the library. Let me ask a question of the audience for a minute. How many authors or aspiring authors are in the audience? Any authors? Come on, y'all. That's okay. All right, Ambassador, what do we want to tell these aspiring authors about getting their books done and published? What advice do you have?
I don't have any advice.
No advice.
Everybody's got their own path.
I tried.
Everybody's got their own path, and it may be different. Your story may be different than mine. Probably will be. But just pursue it and do the best you can do. It's like my mother's advice, Edna's advice. Do the best job you can where you're planted. Whatever that may be. And just keep don't give up on yourself. Just keep plugging away, and eventually you'll get to where you want to be.
Okay, so no advice about how to write it or what to do or who to talk
Donna.
to? She said find Donna.
Call Donna. Find Donna.
She said call Donna. All right, Donna, you ready? We're going to be calling you. You close the book with a message to the next generation, to your grandchildren, and it's a beautiful, powerful reflection on legacy and justice and unfinished work ahead. And so we talked about what you would say to your younger self, but what do you want for your grandchildren? What do you want them to know about courage and leadership and carrying the torch forward?
Let me digress here for a second.
Go
My
right on.
little grandson, Colin, is 7. And he said to me, Grandma Carol, are you famous? I still haven't answered him, you know. What am I telling him? You know, am I Beyonce? No. Do I wish I were Beyonce? Yes. But, so, you know, you just have to do the best you can do and make the contribution you can make. And again, caring about other people and understand this whole thing is not just about you, it's about the community that you're part of. And the more you can do to make life better for as many people as you can touch, then you'll have fulfilled your responsibility. And that's what I would tell them. In terms of my legacy, my grandchildren, I don't know. You know, it's another story. They opened a school with my name in suburban Chicago. And the day of the dedication of the school is the Carol Moseley Braun Elementary School. And when that was... there were two little boys, about 8 years old, I think, walking down the hall. And one of them turns to the other and says, hey, there goes Carol Moseley Braun. And the other one turns around, you mean she's not dead yet? Not Dead Yet is the next book, Donna. Donna, that's the next book, Not Dead Yet. Okay. Anyway, so, you know, all you can do is the best you can do where you are and in the time that you live. And this stuff just keeps going and helping and recreating itself. We are so blessed, not only to be in the United States, but also to be in the United States at a time of relative prosperity. Even the struggle we may have. But the fact of the matter is, the rest of the world is so much worse off than we are. And you don't realize that until you travel a little bit. And I travel extensively, and I can tell you that most of the world, you have a few very, very wealthy people, and then hordes of poor people. You know, we don't have that here. Everybody's got a roof over their head if they want it, and can make a living if they want to, you know, and can eat. You know, we don't have, we are much better off than the rest of the world in just about every way, and that's the country. And so I think being grateful to that, being grateful for the sacrifice that our ancestors have made to give us that, is important. And so I think that my own view is that the more that we can celebrate America, and, you know, it's okay to criticize her. I mean, it's fine. You know, tell the truth and shame the devil. It's important to talk about reality and what's really going on. Why is there such poverty in a country that's got such wealth? Because we're the richest country on the planet. And you've got a few people with more money they can spend in 12 lifetimes, and then a lot of folks that don't have anything. But again, compared to the rest of the world, we're light years ahead. And so I think we just have to celebrate that and then try to make it even better for the next generation, so they don't have the challenges that we have. They will have their own challenges. Everything from nuclear to nuclear problem to environmental issues. I mean, have you noticed the storms lately? I mean, seriously. Yeah, they got meteorites falling out of the sky. What have we done? So I think that we all are called in our time to be the best that we can at whatever it is we do. And I don't know what that is for you. I can tell you for me, it's in that book. Thank you, Donna.
Well, you're absolutely not dead.
Not dead yet.
What's next? The book is done, the movie's in the works. So what's next for Ambassador Carol Moseley Braun?
Well, it's in God's hand, isn't it?
It is.
Whatever happens next, I just leave myself open to it and will work as hard as I know how to do a good job at whatever it is.
Okay, so you don't have anything on your to-do list, aspiration list, something that you say, you know what, now that I'm finished this book, this is what I'd like to do?
Oh, but it's not in my control.
No, it's not. But you can still ask, right?
But I do ask. I do ask.
And?
She's ruthless. She is horrible. Well, and, I don't, career-wise, I like to think I've retired. I tell people I'm flunking retirement, which I kind of am.
You and me both.
Right. So I'm kind of flunking retirement, but I think that if God willing, my health will stay with me. I won't, I'll be able to walk again. And my family, if they're healthy, the children are healthy and fine, I'll do, that's what's in the cards for me.
So you're gonna not fail retirement. We don't believe that you won't continue to fail retirement. We think
Right.
that you'll still be just as busy as ever. This is my last question for you, world traveler. Other than being the ambassador to paradise, I know the United States, you already told us this is the best place in the world. What ranks second? Where would you like to visit again and again and again?
Well, I have a particular fondness for France. And, I guess I'm fine here, but if I were to go to a French-speaking country, I spent a lot of time in Morocco. I like France herself. Paris is wonderful.
See, I don't know, because I can't see the screen. Oh, you all can see when she gave me that wink, right? But that was the last question, but I do want to leave a few minutes for you to just address this audience, just like you started, if there's anything that you'd like to say.
I just want to say thank you all very much. I mean, I am so blown away that this room is packed to the gills. This is no small room. So thank you all. Thank you all for coming out. I am humbled and grateful that you're here. I was telling Kevin when we were coming in, I said, when I was in law school, there were 3 black women in the entire law school. Me, a girl from, who's that? Oh, I was just about to mention your name. Marlene Johnson, who was from DC, Roberta from here, okay. So it was the 3 of us. And we stuck together, we tried to help each other, and we all made it. So, Roberta, you went into the arts, as I understood it. Huh? Wow, 53 years, wow. You couldn't possibly do 53 years, you're not that old. But yeah, there were 3 of us. And now things have changed. I read something the other day about the number of women in law schools have outstripped the men even. So there's the progress, man, I feel like it's happening, but it is happening. So stay encouraged, just stay in faith. that it'll be, it'll be fine. Again, back to that quote that you started off reading. If you just trust that you're going to be fine, you will be. And that's all we can do, is the best we can do in our times. So.
On that note, would you join me in thanking our ambassador, Senator, my soror, Carol Moseley Braun.